Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Olin. I'm the associate head coach at Cornell University. I work with the offense there and obviously the goalies. And today we're going to start this convention off right with a little talk about goaltending. I've been lucky enough throughout my career to work with goalies at the high school level, both male and female. In my past life, I was a Division III men's coach, so I got to work with goalies there. And now I get to work with goalies at Cornell. And when I got asked to do this and got selected to do it, I reached out to some goaltending friends, some non-goalie coaches, and asked, hey, what would you want out of a presentation? And so I think we got something pretty dialed in here for you guys. And without further ado, we'll get it started. I think I got this dialed in correctly. Boom. All right. So starting off with coaching philosophy. And you see that quote there, goalies are like snowflakes. They're all a little bit different. I actually did a little test with this quote with my 4-year-old daughter. I went with snowflakes or sunsets. She picked snowflakes. And the reason why I say that is that you can't have a set way of trying to teach your goalies. I look at our Cornell program. We have a goalie that's 5'7", a little less athletic. We also have a goalie that's 5'2" and 105 pounds soaking wet. I can't say to them, hey, you've got to hold your stick this way, you've got to play this arc, you've got to do things one set way. I think you got to take their advantages, you got to take their strengths and try to build off them. So that's a big part. As we go through that, keep this in mind. I'm not going to tell you, hey, this is the way you have to hold your stick, or this is the way that you have to play the arc. But I do have a couple things that I kind of require of our goalies, and they got to prove to me as they show me their style. So starting off first, I think first and foremost is efficient movement. We want to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. We don't want to go point A to point C to point B. It doesn't work. It's not efficient. So the example I give, some people call it a hitch. Some people call it loading hands. But if a shot's coming at me and I drop my hands and then I attack it, that's not efficient. So we want to make sure we're really great about training the skills necessary to be efficient. Next thing up is deliberate practice. This is from a book called Grit by Angela Ducksworth. I really kind of dig it. And deliberate practice means really trying to break down and focusing on components of the save at the most minuscule level. So if you're putting in the two-man game, if you put your brain to offense, if you're putting in the two-man game, you're just not going to throw them out there and say, hey, we're in the two-man game. No, you're going to go over the passing techniques. You're going to go through the passes you have to make. You're going to go through your reads, how you're going to dodge, how you're going to set up your dodge. It's the same thing with goaltending. We're not just going to shoot balls at them. We want to break down the saves into components, and that's where scaffolding comes in, the next part. Segmenting the save into different parts and then building to the full motion. I went through 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of a master's degree, and literally the only thing I took out of it was scaffolding. And so that's the only thing that relates to what I do now, and I think it's pretty important on all parts of the parts of lacrosse. Okay, next part when I'm coaching my goalies is exaggeration. A lot of the drills that you'll see as we go up here, we're going to exaggerate the movement they have to make. We want to make it tougher for them than it would be in the game. Okay, we can't make it game-like. There's a bunch of variables that we can't put into a shot, but at the very least, let's make that movement or that save harder than it would be during the game. Okay, next one, and I got to give a shout out to Coach Cornell, our other assistant, because I was trying to figure out a snappy way of saying this, but keep it unpredictable in a predictable setting. The thing that really frustrates me when I go and I watch a club goalie getting warmed up, or I go and I observe a high school program, is if they put the goalie out there for warm-ups and they say, hey, we're going stick-side high. We're not training their eyes at that point, okay? We're saying, hey, we're giving them the answer, and they just make a movement. Half of the battle is identifying where the ball is going to go, all right? So for me, instead of saying, hey, we're shooting stick-side high, we like to split the cage into halves or thirds. So when I warm up my goalies, I'm saying, hey, we're going high. So that could be stick-side high or off stick-side high. And with those two, they still have to process things and identify where the ball's going. We are limiting the cage, so there's a little less focus on being everywhere, but they still have to identify where the ball's going, okay? Number 5, use tools when needed. When we get into the drills, you're going to start seeing me use some different things, and you've probably seen them before. Maybe I'm using them differently, but it does get boring when you're using just a regular stick and it's a ball and you're just getting warmed up, or you're walking the line, or you're just doing hand work, or you're tossing the ball to each other. I think it's important to change it up, keep it fresh. So if you have a drill that you love but you don't want to repeat it, give them a men's short stick, right? Change it up. You can do the same drill over and over, but just change the movement, all right? Change the movement within the cage, and you'll see that as we go on. And then keep it fun. We call it goalie world. I think probably a lot of you guys do that. I think that it's important to keep it light. Our goalie world's very competitive. I think when I got to Cornell, we were down, I'm working with the goalies, we're laughing, we're kind of chirping each other. And I think Coach Graff looked down and was like, what the hell is going on down there? But you got to keep it fun, all right? Goalie's a very lonely position at times. We try to keep it fun down there. Our girls chirp me. When I score on them, I'm dropping the, any goalie, any league comment up. We just go back and forth. And it's a lot of fun, okay? And the last part, and this is just how I coach in general, facts aren't insults, all right? So if a goal's given up, I give them short, direct feedback, and then they move on to the next one. I don't think having a big breakdown of, oh, your back foot was just half a second late, and then your toe angle, no, that's just, it gets in their head. I think keeping it short, keeping it direct, and just keeping it factual makes it really easy. And that's how I coach our offense too. I just kind of say how it is and then move on, all right? Okay, on to the next one. Let's make sure I wrote this down correctly. Okay, so going back to that first quote, goalies are like snowflakes, all a little bit different. That's completely fine. I do have 3 kind of non-negotiables, my after goal checklist. So this is what I kind of give to our goalies when they come in as freshmen. I try to dumb it down as much as possible. So it's 3 things, okay? Were my feet set? All right, were my feet set? Did I give myself a chance to make a move to the ball? I think that's very important. If you watch film and you see that maybe they're a little up in the air, their feet aren't set, they're not in their stance, it's really tough to make saves that way. Get ahead of the ball in your arc, and you guys will see that in the drills, and give yourself a chance to make a move, all right? So goal goes in. Our senior goalie, Katie McGann's been with me for, this is her 4th year. Before she even looks at me, she's asking, hey, were my feet set? If they weren't, boom, she's dialed in, she's ready for the next shot, okay? Did I drive my hands to the ball? I think this is really important. You'll see it in the drills. I'm really big on your hands being aggressive. I do think the feet are important, and being aggressive with your feet's important, but if you can be aggressive with your hands, you can cover a lot of the cage. All right, the way I think of it is you got a plane of glass in front of you. It's, glass that you can just break. Think like you're, a 10-year-old kid. Your dad gives you like one of those old bulbs, and you can hit your brother with it. That's the type of glass you're breaking through. All right, so break through the glass. Some people tell it as a drive the hand. Some people say punch it. I like the violent motion aspect of it. I want it to be aggressive. That's how I want our goalies to think. I've also heard it as go greet the ball, right? And I heard this from a goalie coach a couple of years ago. The ball's your friend, right? You don't want the ball to go in. You want to go greet it. So if you're going to shake someone's hand, it's not back here. You're going out and saying hello, right? So you want to go and you want to attack the ball and really drive your hands to it. The last kind of non-negotiable after goal checklist is did I frame the ball with my outside foot? And I've actually kind of changed on this. When I was taught, it was, hey, split the ball with your body, right? Split yourself in 2. That's really tough to do, especially off hit with your stick, right? Trying to get it kicked up. So your outside foot should frame the ball, get to the outside of it, so that if I miss it with my stick, there's a body there, there's a piece of my body that can make the save, all right? And so our goalies, when they give up a goal, they kind of run through these. I might give them quick feedback, and then boom, we're on to the next shot, all right? Okay, next slide, and then we'll get to the drills. I'm going to stop lecturing. The mental side, okay? Goalie's a very mental position, and I think a lot of goalies sit there and they think of it as like golf. It's an individual sport, but I feel like that if you do that, you're putting yourself on an island. I've really kind of gotten into the idea of the flow state. Listen to this podcast called Finding Mastery by Michael Gervais. It's unbelievable. And he had the guy that runs the Flow Institute kind of chatting and going through different things. And I think the flow state, if you can get in that and really try to slow down the ball and almost forget what you're doing and everything becomes second nature, it's really beneficial for a goalie. So, ways to get into it, create rituals, all right? The first one I have up is music. This guy that when I was listening to the podcast, he would put, when he was writing or trying to get something done, he would have a playlist of 3 songs, all right? And he would just play them over and over and over. And when I was listening to it, I was like, I did that in college, all right? I had a 3-song playlist. It was Bob Seger, Turn the Page, which is like, that doesn't really get you pumped up. The next one was Kid Cudi, the Pursuit of Happiness, which, yeah, I was like that back in the day. And then the third one was a song by Mace. I went to school in New Jersey. I got into the rap stuff. But the thing that was different, the thing that was the same between all the songs was it was a repeatable beat, right? It went over and over and over. And I would kind of just get into this flow before a game. And I would do it when I got to the next point, visualization. I would do this, right? I would do this and then visualize, and it really helped me out. And that music stuff, like I think you guys can all think about a time in your life where maybe you accidentally put a song on repeat and then you've listened to it 6 times. You're like, oh my God, I listened to this song 6 times and you got something done. This literally happened to me 2 days ago. I was up on the roof putting Christmas lights on. All of a sudden it was done and I listened to the same song the entire time. Not the safest place to get into a flow state, but it still kind of works, all right? Next ritual is deliberate practice, going back to that. So before games, me and the other goalie, we would just literally toss a ball to each other and just really focus on the ball. Something minimal, something that doesn't take a lot of effort, but really try to lock you in. If the other goalie was being a jerk, I would just throw the ball up in my stick and watch it in and really try to view the ball and really get locked into it. I would do that right after the national anthem, just another way to kind of lock me in. All right, next one up is visualization. I'm a really big believer in this. We do enough scouting. You are giving your goalies enough information to really use this. Visualize the setting you're making the saves in. Visualize the shots you're going to see. Visualize their big shooters. Look at the jersey color. You see what the weather is. I would get to the locker room. I would get dialed in with my tape or whatever, eye black. I would find a dark spot. I would listen to my 3-song playlist, and I would visualize every shot I needed to make a save on that day. And our goalies do it at Cornell, and it's beneficial to them. It's just nice knowing once you get out on the field, in your head, you already did everything you needed to do, which I kind of dig. It's pretty good. All right, next one, 1-second memory. How can we help them get over goals quicker, all right? Run drills that have multiple goals scored. It's going to happen. Get over it. Become numb to the pain. I know that sounds really negative and depressing. Make them get numb to it. So we run drills where it's quick. We're going back and forth. They give up the goal. They got to get a quick outlet, and they got to forget about it. When I'm doing my isolation training, which we'll get into, I do want saves, right? When I'm telling them where the ball or a segment of the cage the ball's going, I want them dialed in. I want them making that save. But when we start exaggerating things, or when we start getting our shooters involved, I want to score goals, all right? I want them to get used to tough shots so that they don't get overwhelmed in the game, all right? And then the last part, add energy to the defensive unit. I said it earlier, you're not a golfer. Feed off your D. Make them feed off you. Every goalie should be ready to come out after the D screws up. Somebody falls down. Somebody misses an assignment. You come up. The best thing a goalie can say is, hey, that one's on me, right? Take the blame, okay? It picks up the defense. You guys are working in tandem, okay? Communication, over-communication helps you stay locked in. And then just a little quote, Bruce Lee, kind of into him lately. I kind of like this quote. I'm not going to read it out, but, you know, I think it's important. Empty your mind when you're in there. You know, be shapeless, just really dialed in. I like the aspect of it can flow. You can go with the flow, or it can crash where, hey, we're being aggressive to the ball. All right, so into the stuff that you guys really want to see, which is drills. Okay, isolation drills. Shout out Sammy Nielsen, 8 meter. Here we go. All right, first drill up, one knee burst. Before anybody, like everybody's probably sitting there and saying, what's on your goalie's head? That's the Guardian helmet. We stole it from our football program. We had a crap ton of concussions last year, and I'm just not dealing with it anymore. So our goalies practicing these. They don't even notice it. It's actually the only thing that kind of bothered them the first couple days was our team kind of looking at them weird, but all of our goalies wear these. They come in different colors. This isn't sponsored by Guardian, but I actually love them. So I think it's something, if your program can look into it, it saves you. So one knee burst. We're going back to that scaffolding concept. The first part of the save, obviously we're driving our hands, which I'll show you next. The second part is that step. So we're really working that power foot. So I'll let this run. All right, so she's down on one knee, our freshman Sloan Loveless, and we're soft tossing, okay? I don't care if she catches the ball, to be honest. It's not softball, but I do want to see an aggressive step. I don't care if she steps at a 30 or at a 45. She's just got to prove to me that she's cutting off angle. For Sloan being so small, it makes sense for her to be a little bit more aggressive with her step. She needs to take angle away. She's like 5'2". So we'll go either side. We'll get into it. The person that's throwing, Ellie Walsh, one of our junior captains, I would like her to change up where she's throwing the ball a little bit more, but we're really working on exaggerating how much power we need off that right foot to kind of go forward. Okay? Okay, on to the next one. I think there's time for questions at the end if you guys want me to run through stuff again. Okay, shout out Dana Doby. I saw her doing draw work with this. She called it a hex stick last night. I don't know if it's a Hiko stick. I don't know what it is. We call it Doby drill. And so we'll have it run here. This is our starting goalie, Katie McGann, a senior for us. And this is a way for us to train the eyes. I've seen other programs do this. I think I saw Ohio State doing it. I think I saw Bucknell. I've seen JMU. I like trying to put whatever drill I'm doing in the context of the cage so they know how much they need to step. But both of these drills are great drills that they can do on a cage to the side of the field. If I'm busy with the offense, I'll send them and have them go do this. All right, so watching the drill, you've got 3 different colors on that on the Hiko stick. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The thrower, OJ, is calling out a color. We're getting our step, all right? We're stepping, McGee steps pretty aggressively here, but she's driving her hands and she's really training the visual acuity to go and get it. I do like how OJ's changing it up a little bit, going either side. I would say the first time you do this drill, put them in a cage, get them in their ready stance, and don't have them step. Just work on driving the hands. This is the next kind of iteration of the drill. I just wanted to show you kind of the final form, but anytime you're doing hand work, I would separate the feet from it and really just work the hands to start. All right, next drill, wide stance saves. This is one of my favorite drills. I stole this, and I'm an equal opportunity thief. I love stealing from anybody and everyone. This is from a club coach down in Dallas, Texas, that coaches men. I love this drill because I think the hands, if your hands are super active, you can cover a lot of cage. So the setup of the drill, we're using tennis balls because we're getting our goalies super wide. I tell them get wide. I ask them if they're comfortable. They say yes. I tell them to get wider, and then we shoot. So there's no step. We're just driving our hands, okay? And as you're watching this, watch how much that McGee can cover. That's Katie McGann, we call her McGee, can cover just without moving, right? She's just driving her hands. So we got Margaret Corzell shooting here, all right? And no step, and I would like Margaret almost to bring it a little bit harder. I shoot sidearm on them. We try to bring the speed. But as you can tell, she's not moving at all. She's not moving at all, and she's driving her hands. No step, she got to that pipe. All right, that one's off cage. She got a piece of it. She's not moving. So it just shows how important the hands are. And you can see that she's driving her hands out to the ball. She's really attacking it. And so we do this probably once a week. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you give them a men's short stick and you do it that way. And we will step in and rip a little bit more. I think we were trying to make our goalies look good. Okay, next one coming up. Next one coming up is knee saves. So this is, if you guys probably have issues with your goalies, they shoot off stick, hip, and they swing at it. This is trying to take that away. So we put them on their knees, and if they swing, they're going to hit the ground, they're going to miss the ball. In order to keep them a little bit, I guess, not guessing, we'll shoot either way, okay, on this. So we put them on their knees, we're using real balls, and we'll see how this drill rolls out. As you can see, we got a guy grooming the field behind, getting my shot a little bit, but you can see McGee really driving out at the ball, okay? She's really driving, she's not swinging, she's going from point A to point B, so we're really working on efficient movements. Now she's, Grace, our shooter's going to the other side. We're still working, getting that stick all the way to the ground, really trying to get used to driving that stick, getting the bend in the stick, making sure we don't let anything slip under. All right, McGee let one up there. But when you're watching it, there should be a real nice pile of balls right in front of her at the end. And I will say, we won't do this for 10 minutes. As you see these drills, we have 3 goalies, one's injured right now, but usually we'll do like 5-minute stations. I get 15 minutes to 20 minutes with the goalies. We'll do 5 minutes. We've got people in goalie world, and then we'll rotate. So this is like a 5-minute station that we'll roll with, and then we go. I want to do this for more than 5 minutes, but I think it's really important for goalies that struggle with off hip. It really makes them a little bit more efficient when getting to the ball. Okay. Next one, pad saves. So our goalie, McGee's in the net, okay, and she has a boxing pad on. We're using tennis balls. I've seen some coaches use the boxing pad with real balls. I just don't want to do that in case somebody goes haywire. They're $20 at Dick's. It's like an MMA like boxing pad. I really love using this because it gets the stick out of their hands. We're still driving our hands, but our feet are now involved. So if you see in this drill, and we don't have sound, but our shooter's saying pass. Anytime we start getting them moving, or we want drills where we're going to shoot wherever, we have them doing some type of movement. So right here, you're going to see a pipe to middle, as we call it. As it rolls, we get it rolling. Oh, there is sound. You can hear my voice being an idiot. We're on the pipe. She's moving to the middle, and then she's driving with that boxing glove. What I like about that sparring glove is that it gives you feedback right away. If you have a really good drive to the ball, that tennis ball might pop right back at the shooter. That shows that we made great contact. If we go side to side and we're not attacking the ball, it's going to go off to the side a little bit. So it gives you feedback right away. Our girls absolutely love this drill just because it's different, it's fun, they're not seeing a rubber ball, they're really getting involved into it. And as I was talking, you can go low because it really exaggerates the low save. All right, and we'll do this, we'll go pipe to near 45, we'll go pipe to far 45, we'll do different type of movements in it. We'll even do pipe to pipe. We want them moving and getting used to being comfortable on their arc when passes are happening. All right, next one, tennis ball saves. I'm sure you guys have seen this one. This is a staple of our shoot around. So if we play you guys, you'll see Cornell out there beforehand during our shoot around doing tennis ball saves. What we like about the tennis racket is it's unpredictable. The ball flight's unpredictable. Just turning your wrist a little bit, you can change where the ball goes to. And you can bring a little bit more speed on it, okay? So you're seeing pipe to middle again. We have a tosser kind of off to the side. We're using tennis balls, and I'll let it roll. McGee is using a short stick there. McGee was super slow on her movement. Now she's there, and she's got to drive, get her body behind the ball. Okay, that's a nice save there. As you see it, we got our tosser here. McGee's making her movements. She gets down low on that one, which is great. You see there's no wasted, that's a good shot by me, by the way. You see there's no wasted movement though. It's point A, point B. She's settled. You don't see any happy feet. We want to be locked in and go and get the ball. And that's me doing my, that's like, have you ever seen that picture of Sasquatch? Like the fake one walking in the woods? I look like an idiot. I should have edited that. But this is a great drill. One way to make it a little bit tougher, we call them double taps. We did film it, but instead of just getting one, our person that's throwing the ball will have two balls. We'll toss, we'll say pass, they get to the middle, we hit one, I get loaded again, they throw another right after. So you gotta make two saves in a row. What it shows is you kick out a rebound, garbage goal, someone's trying to score a garbage goal, hopefully not, they scoop up, they shoot again. It's making sure we're not off balance. And so that's what we do at every PGP. We'll do one set of these from each pipe, and then we'll do double taps from each side. And it just gets them locked in before their normal warm-up. Okay, next one. Men's short stick saves. I'll let this one roll. This one's near and dear to my heart because I stunk on low shots, believe it or not. I'm 5'7", and for some reason can't get low. But we're now going pipe to near 445. Now we're shooting just low. So movement's involved, and then I want you to see how she's making the saves. Right there, she's bending too much at her back. I want her to drop her hip level. That one, still bending at her back. We didn't make her look good in this one. There, she came up on it. Her chest was still up, so she was able to come up with it. That's a good one where she's dropping her hips. On the low shots, make sure she's dropping her hips, not bending at the back. It's just not efficient. That was a decent one. That's one that when it goes in, we say it's a save with a real stick, so they don't feel bad about themselves, but that was good movement. But we're just working that pipe to 45. Put movement in. That's all I do is put movement in. And now you have men's short stick saves, right? You can do that one day, next week. You want to do something, do men's short stick saves low and make them go pipe to far 45. You're still working the same type of concept. Maybe your goalies stink low, but now you're making them do a different movement and it keeps it fresh. Okay, next one. Split the pipe with band. This is some great film work on this. I taped this once. My boss, who's great, Jenny Grapp, told me the video stunk, so we went back out and redid it. I do some zooms. It's like Scorsese, okay? Just watch. There's a tracking shot and everything. So the setup of this drill, we have Sloan splitting the pipe, all right, with her back. So her body's split in two. We are exaggerating the step that she needs to make. So we've got some power, and we've got a terrific opportunity to drive our hands in a good manner, all right? We're exaggerating how far we need to drive our hands. So if our positioning's poor, maybe our positioning's off, we can still go get the ball. So letting it roll, you can see after this first one, there's a green band around her. We add resistance to this. It's just another way to get more explosiveness. With Sloan, because she's, you know, like I said, like 105 pounds soaking wet, she doesn't pull the cage. With other goalies, you might have to have your backup stand on the net so it doesn't pull it. But you see her driving and you see that there is resistance against it. We'll do this same drill without a band as well. And you go, and you're splitting the goal in two. You can go low, you can go mid, you can go high, okay? But it is, I think, a great drill. Our PGB, pregame practice, we do this drill without the band. It's just kind of a cool way to get their steps dialed in. I really love this drill. It's kind of a neat way to warm up, to be honest. It's just making the goal bigger. You could also take a second cage if they get good at it. You take a second cage, you put it next to the other one, you put the band around the two pipes connecting, and now you made like a super cage, right? Mega cage. And then you can shoot either side, right? Which is kind of cool. We do that when they're pissing me off. Okay, next one. All right, now we're going to get to some movement drills. All right, you're going to see some different drills here where we get shooters involved. We want to score goals. So this first one's called step-up shooting. If you got somebody, you know, think offensively, somebody feeds from up top, down low, and the person cuts over a defender, we can step up and take away a little angle. So that's what we're trying to drill here. Our goalies are gonna look terrible on these drills because I want them to get scored on, okay? So watching the drill, all right, come up and over. She's making her movement as OJ got up and over that dummy. You see here Izzy, she sets her feet, that's perfect, all right? She's making her movement to the pipe. She comes up, set her feet. She didn't drive her hands great there, all right? Coming up, and we're just working our movement, okay? This is a tough shot to make, but it's shots that we want to make saves on to win games. This is great for our shooters too, to be honest, because we're using tennis balls and it forces them to have soft hands. There, McGee wasn't set, okay? So we're really working on making our movement. If they come up and over the football dummy, we're able to step up, maybe cut off a little angle and make the save. So that's step up shooting. All right, rebound shots. This is by far my favorite video that we put together. Coach Cornell really helped me out with it because I'm not great with tech. You guys have probably done, have the goalie face a wall, right, and then shoot. We like to orient them in a cage, going back to how I was talking earlier. So we put cones out. We want them to make movements. We want them to know what the cage kind of looks like. So this drill, the movement we put in is our turns, okay? If you look how our goalie's holding her stick, this is the only, I think, like fundamental, this is something I really like. If I ever see goalies when I'm recruiting having their stick like up on the pipe and taking away feeding angles, I'm like, that's no bueno. When we're trying to do interceptions, which we're training here, we want our goalies to bait that interception. So if you notice, McGee's ready stance isn't this wide. We have her put her hand on the bottom of the stick and put her pinky, all right, on that bottom hand at like on the butt end. And so if a pass comes that we can intercept, she can throw her hands real quick and then slide right into her ready position, which you'll see when it goes live. I just don't know how to make these videos run again, so that's why I'm talking about it now. But rebound shots, we'll do this from pipe to middle. You can orient it any way you can. I really like doing interception turns on this. So as you see it going, she's here, we get a pass call, she throws her hands, and then she makes a save. We're using the short stick again. You see she throws her hands. You see how quickly she can get into that lane to intercept the ball, and then set her feet. Okay, so we were acting like this is coming right down Main Street and that she's able to make that save. Okay, another angle, look at that. Unbelievable, okay. Great step, you see how much ground she's gaining there, and you can see how her hands are set. She's got the bottom hand, she can throw her hands, still drive the hands to the ball. Okay, watching one more, and she gets it, which is good, okay? If you notice, McGee is very efficient. The upper body's not moving too much. All the times you see her moving, the stick's not, she's not kayaking across the arc. We want her to stay up, stay ready to make saves. All right, next one, split drill. This was requested by Jenny Grapp. It wasn't in my initial presentation, but she loves this drill. I stole this from a hockey Instagram video I saw. And it's a great drill to add visual noise, to deal with screens. Maybe you have somebody that's running through shooting space and the shot's released. We still need to make that save with the new rules. So on this, we will yell split. We have two goalies in that are kind of in their way. They can't see the stick. They have to read the ball, all right? And we'll yell split, and then we'll take the shot. I will say Grace, who's our shooter here, was really nice to McGee during this. I would shoot it as soon as they start splitting. She waited a second longer because the person in the gray pants, the goalie in the gray pants, is actually Margaret Cornell. Our other goalie was injured, and so we dressed up Margaret. It was pretty funny. So without further ado, here's the drill. So we yell split, boom, we go. They come back to the middle. I would say, and I'll tell you when I would shoot it, all right, we're here, shoot it, okay? Make that goalie locate the ball coming out. Margaret's doing a great job running out of the way. I like it. And you can see McGee making a great save there, having to locate the ball, and I call it visual noise. All the football dummies that you'll see, all that is putting in the 13 other players that could be in the way when the shooter's shooting, okay? If you do a lot of drills where they just have a clear view, you're not prepping them correctly for what they're gonna see in the game. So the visual noise is super important to me. But this is Coach Grapp's favorite drill, and it's a fun one. We do it, we do it maybe once in a while just to keep it light. Goalie world should be fun. Okay, next one. This is another fun, silly drill that our kids really get into. So we got a football dummy. We'll wave that football dummy in front of the goalie, so she's got to just dial in on the ball. And I know some people are like, oh, watch the stick, watch the stick. I think that's really tough to do. I'm bigger on having a 3x3 window where they can either release it here or their hip, really focusing on that and seeing the ball come out of that and then be able to attack it. It's kind of a tennis thing. I didn't put it in this presentation, but it's like my new thing that I'm really into. So ask questions about it. But windmill 8 meters is another fun drill that we get to do. So I'll let it roll here. We got Sloan throwing it. They're waiting for it. Couple steps in, rip the shot. Izzy's not a big shooter, so that's probably not her shot. Annie did not like the tennis ball, so it went wide. All right, nice shot. We got to see it through. McGee stepped off her arc a little bit. You see Sloan celebrate getting one. But this is just it's a fun drill. It's a different drill. And they just got to see through the noise of that stupid little windmill thing going. Ellie hit pipe twice in a row. But it's, like I said, it's different. It's a good way to break up kind of just goalie world. Goalie world can get, kind of slow and repetitive. So this is a fun drill to throw in for 8 meters and dealing with the noise with everybody crashing in on 8 meters. I think it's a great way to kind of train that a little bit. All right, next one up is forest shooting. In this drill, we're really focusing on when to make our moves on our arc. All right, so if we go way back to my non-negotiables, our girls aren't going to shoot until they pass by these dummies. And so that will show the goalie when it's safe to get their feet set and move ahead of the ball. We want to get ahead of the ball. Let's make them shoot back across their body because that's a tougher shot for them. It's easier for them to shoot where they're going. It's tougher to shoot where they came from. So watching it, you can see McGee make her movement. She was a little slow on that one, but still made the save. Sets her feet, good. Oh, that's a nice shot by Annie. But we're coming through, nice shot. All right, but she's making her movement, setting her feet, and she gets to the ball. Okay, so really working movement. And our girls are working on their hitches, so our shooters are actually working the hitches, trying to get over. Annie tried to do a jump shot of some sort. I don't know what that was about. But it's all movement-based, and we get into it. I'm really glad this one's muted because I think I made fun of somebody in it. But that's a good movement, set her feet, good save, all right? That's a nice save too. So we're making sure we're setting our feet and then we're able to drive to the ball. Why do I use football dummies? They're right by our field. Our football program doesn't clean up after themselves, so we use them. And it's a lot of fun to get screenshots and to use it. Like I said, I think the visual noise is really important to put into your drills. All right, and then kind of the last one here. Hopefully I'm not over. I gave time. Oh, wow, I'm right on schedule. Last one is a little bit of a kind of work and stick work. One of the passes that I'm really into that can kind of jumpstart your transition is what I call a pop pass. So think about the goalie makes a save, and without having to change where their hands are from their ready position, they can pop the ball out 25 yards. You're getting transition there, especially with all the zone rides and this and that and the shot clock. Transition's really important. So in this drill, all right, you'll see the first half is going to be McGee throwing the pop pass with a step. Some goalies can make the save, not step, and just be able to pop it arms only, but McGee decided to flip her hips here. So we'll let it roll here. We soft toss, so we're not worried about a save. And you see her not moving her hands at all. she's just popping it out. And she's popping it out 20, 25 yards, hopefully on the run. We're working on maybe getting it out low. But if we can get the ball ahead of the clear, it helps out our clearing game quite a bit. All right, and then as you see, now she's changing her hands a little bit, and you see how much longer it takes, okay? It takes a second or two longer, which in the grand scheme is the difference between getting them out and not having them set that zone, or, it's getting out and maybe in some fast break action going for your offense. This drill, we will set up 4 people that they can throw to, but just for filming reasons, we just did half the field, but we would just number the field, and we would essentially be, hey, throw it to 4, throw it to 3, and so they're working on getting the ball out quick without wasted movement. Yeah, that's it, about 45 minutes, perfect. I guess any questions, anything you guys want me to go over? Yes? Yeah.
Goalie set the pipe, but you have the person tossing like directly next to you.
Yes.
So are you working on, I saw her tracking the ball, her head was turned, but you want them setting the pipe and just tracking the ball, and as soon as it goes, they're adjusting?
Yeah, so I'm using pass there. It's just tough, like if I wanted to go from like the actual pipe and have them toss it, I'm not that good, and none of our people are that good. So it's more, verbal cue, hey, pass. And then I tell the thrower, let's throw it quick. So they got to really work that efficiency. But and you can do that, Joe. It doesn't have to be piped to middle. It can be piped to near 445. It can be piped to far 445. You can do pipe to pipe with that drill. We're trying to change it up. I do like teaching the 5-point arc. Just for me, I was a guy, and I think a lot of goalies like this. If you can take away a lot of the thought process and really simplify footwork, it just lends itself to more saves. So, arc play, I do like teaching the 5-point, but like I said, we might have a goalie that comes in that wants to add an extra step on either side because they're 5'2". All right, well, we'll work with that, But just being efficient is any way as possible. But yeah, good question.
My second question was on the one knee drill, so their lead foot is behind.
So the one knee drill, I'm trying to actually get into it. So if I'm down on one knee, their lead foot is, hold on, can I go back? Yeah, their lead foot should be the one up, and then the one that's down, they're driving off that one. So they have to almost exaggerate how much that drive should be.
So would you flip their feet if they were, do you isolate, all right, we're only working strong side, right foot up, left foot is on the knee, and then if you did weak side, you would flip the feet?
Yes.
Depending on which side.
Yeah, you would flip the feet. Yeah, always have your drive foot be opposite, like the other side of where the ball's kind of going. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you flip it first. You don't have them always do right leg up, only the
No, we'll flip one knees up. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions for us? Let's go.
Bill.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what sort of drills you run for behind cage shots, and also maybe a little bit about where you like your goalie's position as well?
That's a great question, Forrest. Thank you for sharing. Going back to kind of what I was saying about the 5-point is that I like to dumb down the footwork. I know some people will say, hey, you play your opposite arc, you do this, you do that. When I was in college, it was just too much for me to kind of comprehend. It's really tough to make the save anyways without thinking about too much. So I basically have them get to the peak of their arc in the middle, and then I have them stand there, and if the person becomes a dodging threat, or they dodge or carry outside of the pipe extended, so think about, the pipe kind of extending out and they start passing through it, that's when I'm going to get to my pipe. So there's 3 different positions I'll be on. I'll be on my pipe, or I'll be at the middle of my arc at the peak of it, just facing behind. And we'll work that with feeders. Coach Graff will come out, work with feeders while I'm working some of the interception stuff. I will say one of the important things about throwing your hands for the interception is making sure you're throwing a little bit backwards, not throwing straight up, because that's when it's like a not top 10 situation where you knock the ball in your own cage, right? We want to make sure we're throwing our hands backward, but we do a lot of repetition with a shot after it. And I will say, and this might, for people that aren't goalie coaches, I really, like, interceptions are great. I get it. It's nice. It's free possessions. But I want them to make saves. So it's got to be what I call a pick six if they're throwing their hands at the ball. We're not throwing our hands at everything. We need to identify the flight of the ball, and then we'll make an adjustment if, hey, we can throw our hands or not. So does that answer your question for us? Terrific. Thank you. Yes?
You do a lot of the drills and stuff for the session and regular practice. How often are you employing your field players? Do you only use injured field players to come to you? And how long on a normal day is your goal involved?
Yeah. So we do about 15 minutes. It depends on the day, honestly, with ID scheduling and like when we can get there. We usually do at least 15 minutes with our goalies. And Coach Grapp is awesome. She lets me just kind of go and do my thing, and I kind of plan it out and go. On days where they can get out there a little bit earlier, that's when we'll bring the shooters and we'll do some of those bigger drills with the football dummies, so it's repetitive and they can see a ton of shots. And we'll do it for 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes. In the scope of a practice, because it's kind of weird for me because I run our offense and then I do the goalies, it's just trying to juggle both, and I'll be saying something to the offense and then I got to kind of like remember, follow up with my goalie. But Coach Graff lets me kind of, if I need 30 minutes, she'll give me 30 minutes. Just depends on what they need. And a lot of times, it's not like I go out there with this, hey, I'm going to do 6 drills today, and you saw 6 of them. I'll go out and be like, hey, Machidi, what do you need? Like, what do you think you need? Hey, I'm really struggling with my back foot or low shots or, whatever it might be. Okay, hey, we'll do these drills today and really try to hammer it, a little player's choice action. But I like them to dictate it because they know what they need, even more than I do sometimes. Back there.
Can you talk a little bit about your game day philosophy and then what is different, is it the same, how many shots?
Yeah, so game day, we do that, we do the tennis ball, like racket drill in our like pregame shoot around. We get them out there, and we'll go, like I kind of said earlier, we'll go high, mid, low. So, and I'll walk I'll move around. I'm not just at, the top of the 8 and shooting from there. I'll move around. That's what they're, I guess, warming up, seeing the ball. And then when we start doing all over, we make it movement-based. And so we'll have balls off the pipes and we'll have balls off the elbows. And we'll take shots where I have a feeder, probably an injured person or one of the other goalies, feed me so we're warming up their feet. I just think it's really important to get your bearings within the cage, because feeds, whatever it might be, getting those movements. And so we'll do, it depends on each goalie. Renee, who's now an assistant at Louisville, she used to get pissed off at me because I wanted to warm her up for 7 minutes. She wanted 3 minutes. She wanted no warm-up. I'm like, what is happening? Our goalie now likes a little bit longer. So I'll adapt it to what our starter needs, but those are the major components, is doing the pregame with the tennis balls, going in and then doing high, middle, low as I'm moving around, and then all over is always off the feet. And then we'll start out high, and then we'll move in low for those kind of like in tight shots. Hopefully not goals. Yeah, Teeter.
When you're filming your goalie, any favorite apps that you use or anything like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When you're filming your goalies or going over film with your goalies, is there any favorite apps that you use or you like?
I mean, honestly, I kind of dig just the iPad and the video. Just being able to kind of like zoom in and really break it down. We'll slow-mo it. We use the huddle thing. There's not any crazy app that I love. We'll use Huddle, load it up there, like whatever we're doing. Especially in the Ivy, because we're limited so much with practices. I like filming our goalie workouts, so when they go to captains, they're not just like doing soft toss, right? They're actually doing drills that I have, but nothing crazy on apps. If anybody has some, I love using tech, but I'm all in. Other questions? Yes.
You briefly talked about the 3x3 square, like looking for the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I don't know if you guys know the name Trevor Tierney. He was like kind of my idol when I was coming up through, and so I kind of consume anything he talks about. And he was on a podcast and he was talking about how tennis players who are seeing these big, obviously serve, they're coming 100 plus. How do they locate it? And instead, it's impossible to just look at the racket and pick it up off the racket. So it got Trevor Tierney thinking about how to retrain your eyes. And instead of just focusing and being like, okay, I'm going to watch the ball all into my stick, that's almost like physically impossible with like just the human biology, right? And so what he does is he gets a little area, a little window as he calls it, which is like 3x3, 4x4, and you're really focusing on that window and kind of blocking out the visual noise. And whatever comes through that window, you pick it up from there and go attack it. And it's really, really kind of interesting, cool stuff. I just got turned on to it like a year ago. I'm not messing with McGee because she's an Olin goalie now, but with the freshman goalie, we're using it. And it's actually paid some dividends. It's pretty cool. But find me, I'll tell you the podcast, and then it gives you like kind of the information. It's really cool. Tennis has a lot of like really neat stuff that allows the goaltending. The one book that I would have every goalie read is The Inner Game of Tennis. It is unbelievable. And I got turned on to it by a Pete Carroll book, and then I read it, and I wish I read it when I was in college, because it's a lot about like emptying your mind and the mental side and trying to view the ball. It's really, really cool. So that's another one, another good resource. I'm just kind of a follower, not a leader on that one. Any other? Yes?
How often do you change the size of the ball that you use with the goalies when you're training them?
Like in terms of like the right side, left side, or?
No, like the size. So, like, do you always use the tennis ball or lacrosse ball size, or do you change the size?
I always, personally, I always use it. I know some people, I've seen some people use like a little golf ball, like, and do things like that. You can like give them a shaft, right? These are 11 drills that I do, but there's other ones you can give them a shaft and then use like a ping pong / like one of those fake golf balls, that you work chipping in your, basement with. So I've seen that. I do that maybe once in a while. I just think, hey, you're going to see the ball. I don't want to exaggerate it too much. I'm already taking the stick away from them, this or that. But there's plenty of things. I would just say experiment, right, and have fun with it. Chelsea, you had a question?
Yeah, it seems like your goalies are fairly traditional in their style.
Mm-hmm.
What is your philosophy on goalies kind of dropping to their knees, or like dropping a knee laterally?
Yeah, so Sloan, she wasn't in many of the low ones, but Sloan, our freshman, drops to their knees. I don't mind it, just as long as it's efficient, right? So if they're backstepping and then like kind of sprawling, well, that's not efficient. You're not being aggressive. Now, if they step and it's a super great like lead step and you have a ton of power and you got to go down to a knee, sweet. Like, I'm all about it. I mean, McGee and I, the senior, experimented with her just starting to flop, and it just didn't work for her. So I'm all about it. Our goalies coming in the next couple of years are a little bit different caliber athlete than what we have now. And I think I'll see a little bit more, less traditional and more, not unorthodox, but maybe not like, rigid, which I kind of think, because that's how I was. I was not, like drop your hips, get over it, split the body. I was kind of kicking my feet out and doing different things like that. And we do drills where it's not as, I guess, rigid, I guess is the best word. Yes?
Do you, or I guess, how do you designate in any sort of official way for your goalies, first string, second string, third string, and then how does that affect your game-to-day performance?
So you talking about their strengths and then trying to build it up a little bit. I see where they're weak. So for example, if a goalie's weak, low, we're going to do low shots on the warm-up with a short stick. So we'll adjust it there. If they're weak, maybe getting their hands to the ball, right, or getting their body behind the hip, maybe we'll use a short stick there. I think I might just use the short stick in general this year. I'm kind of messing with that. That's something that I did when I played. But I'll just see what their weaknesses are and, or something that really needs to be drilled and just incorporate it, make it maybe a little bit tougher, exaggerate it a little bit, and then obviously get into a little bit more. But I will say, I try to stay away from coaching our goalies too much technique-wise on game day because we just want an empty mind, and I think some people that maybe don't have goalie coaches on staff, they're like, oh, your step's a little bit, I just like, hey, we're at where we're at, like, dinner's set, all they got to do is eat, like I'm not trying to change the main course, so I want to make sure that they're comfortable going into it, but I will exaggerate some things just to give them a little extra work as we go into the game. Any other questions? Yes?
With scouting other teams when helping your goalies through scout, do you ever find that they overthink mistakes when you scout other teams or show them the film, and how can you avoid that?
Yeah, I just don't show them. For me, it's weird because I go back to personal experience all the time. We had a volunteer assistant at Rutgers where I played who showed me like all the shots that, Tom Schreiber was taking or whoever at Princeton, and then I get into the game, I guess, and then it's like, oh, like he went low. So is there tendencies? Do I maybe notice tendencies within a game? If they're struggling, I might give them feedback, but I don't love being like, oh, this is their shot. I want them to be clear-minded and more being able to locate and kind of go. Now, I might say to them, hey, they love this area of the field to shoot from. Maybe we can step off our arc a little bit, but I'm not going to be like, hey, Caroline Allen loves shooting off hip, dial into it, because if me as the opposing coach, if you scout that and I see her cheat to that, I'm going to be like, yeah, next time fake there and then finish opposite. So I don't want to give them too much information. I want an empty mind.
Do you show them anything when scouting, or pretty much just tell them these are the big shooters?
I'll show them like where they'll shoot from, what their big drive angles are, what's their sweet spot. We'll break that down. Kind of the same thing. They get the same scout as the defense does, to be honest. And then they might come and be like, hey, can you show me a couple more, if you got big shooters off the 8 meter or shooting that, that sidearm and bringing the heat, we'll work some concepts like that. But we try not to be too reactive with how I want them to play. We want them to have a solid base and have them almost react to what our goalies are bringing. Anything else? We good? I'm getting kicked off. Thanks so much for coming. Perfect.